I would request our Honorable Senator, Mr. Hassan Omar, to share a few words with us, sir. Thank you. Welcome the Senator.
Thank you very much, Pranjal. Our most common greeting in this part of Kenya is usually Assalamu alaikum. The Director General Vision 2030, Mr. Alnoor Kanji, and all invited guests, members of the media. When Pranjal called me to invite me for this function, I just decided as a matter of courtesy that I needed to confirm my participation. Because as Mr. Kanji said, we are totally and fully supportive of this program. For reasons that, for me, it also has personal reasons. I've always liked people who defy imagination and venture into certain avenues of creativity that only sometimes challenge the human genius. And Mr. Kanji has a story similar to that of Einstein. You know, he was sitting here and he thought what he could do about it. So it also had to take, is it Isaac Newton or Einstein? Isaac Newton, sitting down a tree for an apple to hit him, for him to have this kind of a thing like, you know, the law of gravity or something of that nature. So sometimes in that period of tranquil, people imagine extraordinary things. But how you are able then to effect that imagination into reality is a real test of what separates the mortals from the mere mortals from the immortal. What you actually said, that this is a living example outside for Jesus. The immortality of for Jesus means that Mr. Kanji and the conceptualizers of this marina have written their name in the mark of history. 500 years from today, when we tell this story, please have this picture there. They will say great things about you, inshallah. And I think that's the whole challenge of human quest. You know, we still speak about many people who their imprints in terms of genius and creativity. Steve Jobs. You talked about Bill Gates coming here. Bill Gates has written his chapter in history. And that's what we like to associate with greatness. So it would be foolhardy for any leadership of Mombasa not to see the genius in this project and not associate with it. So I think we do it for those personal reasons. My little quest in life has made me admire greatly people who do extraordinary things. And it has pushed my parameters of what I want to do. It always improves me. Whenever I hear somebody from all the odds, including people who I keep telling them, despite the words Eminem has in his songs, but for a white man to be, on top of a black industry is itself, or for America to have a black president is itself pushing the imagination to matters that we could not have imagined several years ago, or just to say sometimes a few years ago. I remember around August, I told Salma that I was coming to Mombasa and I'll pass by the marina because the president is visiting the marina. Is visiting Mombasa. So Salma just dropped me a text message. Can you tell the president to pass by? So in my mind, I was like, the Salma thing, the president is my, college mate or something. So, but I said, maybe it's a good idea. So after we'd had dinner with the president, I'm not trying to brag about having dinner with the president. I'm trying to give a message. So after having dinner with the president, I whispered to the president that you need to take a tour to the marina. He told me, it was Joho and I. He told me, but somebody told me that project stopped. I said that project did not stop. And we gave him 10 reasons or even more why he should come here. So he said, I'll promise you I'll visit the marina before I leave. So one day we were in Dar es Salaam, Joho and I, because his brother was getting married. You see how we've become internationalists. So I get a call and it has a Mombasa direct line. I said, who in Mombasa calls with a landline still? When was the last time you received a call from a landline? So you pick it up and you think maybe it must be one of your grandmothers who still has a landline in existence. And he says, aya, uni uhuru bana, uko wapi? I'm like, tuko wapi, tuko wapi, unaitwaje huko, Dar es Salaam, aya, taria, hiyo mali yenu twende. We're coming back tomorrow, hopefully, or the day after. So immediately we came back. True to his word, he called us again. So one day he called us, says, niko mahali nakula lunch, alafu nikitoka hapo si tutapitia. So I was like, okay, that sounds easy. So I called Kanji and Salma. I told them the president will come. I think he will come. So we were here, and true to him, he came. Even I didn't notice when he came in because he came in like a normal guy. And he's asked me 2 times, when are we opening up that project? I think because when he came in and saw jacuzzi and stuff, on the first thing, I thought I was the only guy who thought that way. The first thing that goes into your mind is a party. So he even said, "Ay, mahali mzuri." That's the good thing. I having a younger president because he immediately said, "I think we can have." So he was very excited about the project. We told him it should be launched very time soon. So I will convey it to him that I think we are almost on the verge for him to diarize that date, maybe in the next couple of months or so. So I think I'm very excited about this whole prospect. And when he comes here, I think he'll say more. But to just finalize my remarks, for you to have this type of faith at a time when everything was appearing bleak, particularly in Kenya, is a little crazy. Yeah? But it's those crazy people who do great things. You know, when people tell you that you shouldn't do things because everything, we're a very fearful society. Try one leap. When I sat down for the first time wanting to run for senator, I overruled the majority. They all said we can't make it because there's 1, 2, 3 things. We said, let's just try it. After all, there's only one thing that can happen. You lose and you go back to what you're doing. So I think people need to push those parameters. We need to be a little crazy to imagine things that we never used to imagine in this country. But one salient point, I think, which we need to guarantee our investors here is security. All of us regularly discuss about security. We've made a massive investment in security as a county, through private sector, through government itself. I've seen also, as we say, Mombasa is county 001 as per the listing of the constitution. The constitutional destiny was this country to take lead. We did a few cars. I even seen Mutua yesterday brought his, he also has a few diagrams just like Vision 2030 of what he wants to achieve. But let those diagrams be reality. There's nothing extraordinary about producing the EnglishPoint Marina on ArchiCAD. It's called ArchiCAD, isn't it, Mwenda? But to put it in reality. Because all of us, I was also, at some point I wanted to be an architect before I thought about drawing too many lines. So there's nothing wrong about being creative. There's nothing unique, but it's whether you're able to implement it. So I think security in this county. But these types of investment also bolster security. How does it bolster security? I believe it will employ a few youngsters. It will probably translocate them from despair to hope and give them a sense of community. They will be able to realize a vision for their families, education, basic, rights in terms of food, shelter, clothing. And therefore that means then you progress a nation. So you need security. But these types of investment also contribute to security. So you take a leap of faith, then we must reciprocate as a county, as a government. So therefore it is inevitable that Mombasa invests in its security immensely. Yesterday, the day before yesterday, we were meeting here on a constitutional question on the transfer of functions. I remember, Alnoor, you said this is going to be a port on its own. Because if I was to bring my friend Bill Gates here, I would want him to have his diplomatic passport, I believe. I don't know whether Obama gives the guy a diplomatic passport, stamped here, so that he does not have to go back to town. Then for a few hours, the guy is in Kenya illegally, before you realize there is a headline just like Justin Bieber got arrested here, Bill Gates arrested in Kenya. We are in the news for all the right reasons, you know. Then I'm there walking around saying, don't worry, he's my boy, I'll get it sorted out. So that kind of a situation. So I think we need to capacitate the marina in its ability to do it. So we were discussing about ferries and harbors. Actually, the Senate concurred with the argument of the county of Mombasa in its unanimity that ferries and harbors are functions of the county. So our next step now is to direct transitional authority to devolve the ferries and harbors to Mombasa County. So that process is going to be a challenge in its own, because I know there will be people who have hang-ups to the past. But you see, when you are in a situation where new paradigms, new evolutions, new theories of government, new architecture is challenging what existed, then you have to put up with that time. So I still use a notebook, because every time I've read every story of every great guy, he's had a notebook and piles of notebook. I went to the Mandela Library. He's written everything, about everything. I find an iPad much easier to lose. People hardly steal notebooks. So whenever I tell somebody nilitoka hapo Marina nikasahau notebook yangu, I said in fact tuko tunatafuta mwenyewe. But it is very unlikely that if you said I forgot my iPad utaambiwa imepata mwenyewe mpya. So it will be the other way around. So not at the Marina though. So I think we moving forward, these are all the kinds of things we are looking at in Mombasa, how they all build into each other. So the Marina is part of the architecture now of Mombasa. The port is the architecture of Mombasa. We are very sentimental about the port of Mombasa and the harbors of Mombasa. Much in the same way we are sentimental about our culture, our history. Don't think that these things are easy for people. We are connected to them. That's why people, as we depart from the past, we also need to realize people are beholden to some of the richness of their history. So I think as we move forward, definitely, we will support you. Vision 2030 has done an amazing job. I was an extreme skeptic of this vision, because I thought, so what if you draw diagrams with roads that are in Dubai? So what? But I see Kenyans getting excited. Do you see this roundabout? But you also must bolster the political pillar, governance pillar. Governance pillar. Vision 2030 must know that good government is essential for your economic and other social pillars to take root. So in Kenya, when you talk about governance, you are told, but didn't you see that good road? Yes, Arab despots have built better roads than some of us can imagine, but they still have not given people freedom. And look what is happening in that world. So it has to make sure a creative people are free. A free people are creative. So if you make our people free enough, they will be so creative, it will shock your imagination. So I think we need to ensure that our people are free enough to be as creative as they can get. So we will support you. I will definitely be, at some point I know we're supposed to be meeting the president when the governor is back. As a by the way, because maybe we might not want to put it in the agenda, because AOB sometimes is part of the agenda. AOB, in fact, for me, when I was at the KNCHR, my greatest contribution was in the AOB, because you had so many things to say. So the AOB can be a meeting on its own. So when you get to the AOB, I tell him, talk to Alnoor, talk to Professor, tell them to give us a date when we will be opening the EnglishPoint. You diarize it. Even if Obama is visiting Kenya, you need to tell him to wait at the State House as we open the marina. Then we'll come and see him later. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Honorable Senator Hassan Omar. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to shortly have the signing of the MOU now between Vision 2030 and EnglishPoint Marina. There will be just these things happen. We'll just be setting up, just moving the setup from there, and I will request all our honorable guests over here, Mr. Alnoor and Professor Wainana, to kindly join us for the signing of the MOU right there at the table right there.
Auto.
Huh?
To look,
Okay, let me put it down. That's our commitment.
There it is. Ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Alnoor.
Yeah. Okay. Timothy, executive.
And we have the two witnesses, Mr. Timothy from Vision 2030
Philip Jones.
and Mr. Philip from EnglishPoint Marina, our general manager.
We'll sign the others in the due course, or you want to sign all of them?
No.
Yeah, we'll do the others. Yes. At least this one has done, isn't it? Yeah.
We're going to present the MOU from Vision 2030 to EnglishPoint Marina.
Senator.
Brilliant.
Senator, ngia katikati. Katikati.
A round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen. This is a historic moment right here.
But it is such an honor. It is
He had promised to, and he has asked me to.
fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, Professor Wainana.
We'll give you now. Wait, this is correct. We're going to give him.
That's the plate, ladies and gentlemen.
Given to very few people. Those people who are crazy, as you was.
We honor it, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
If I can have Professor Wainana and Mr. Alnoor with the Senator to unveil the new look of EnglishPoint Marina. The wind has not been so kind on us, sir, so unfortunately we'll have to do it manually.
Yeah, one side.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. This is the new look of EnglishPoint Marina with Vision 2030 for you. It's a historic moment, ladies and gentlemen. We're proud and we're honored. Thank you so much, Professor. Thank you so much, Senator. It's beautiful. That's the future of Mombasa right there.
Yeah, no fire detector.
Thank you so much. Thank you.